It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of the deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails, while daring greatly. Prisons seem to have pretty good speechwriters. I want to keep this idea of daring greatly in mind as you go through the presentation today. Daring greatly, taking bold action, taking action throughout this year. My name is Tristan Donald. I am going to be your Fresh Start advisor for this year. This is my agenda for today. Since this is on video, you'll be able to pause and have a look at a few of these slides. So I'm not going to speak to some of the slides. We'll get through to the content that needs elaboration. The sign-in sheet is something that goes out when we're in person. Let's get going. The Fresh Start program is a team effort. We are here to support you. We have several different roles that we can play, and we're here really to help you the best that we can. We have respect for your choices to be in the program. We have respect for your strengths and experience that you bring to this academic year and your choice to do the Fresh Start program. And hopefully you will be respecting us at the Student Success Center, me, the director of the program, and the program and administrative assistant. You'll be able to respect us because we're here to help. We are not going to be judging you. It's a safe place to share ideas. It is incredibly conducive to dialogue. We want to encourage you to ask for as much help as you need. We are guides and facilitators, instructors, teachers, coaches. We are here to help in many different ways. Your role is as student, as active inquirer. I like to think of it as being someone that is willing to ask questions, clarify, and critique. Really, some of the things we're going to be talking about you may not agree with, and so we have our opinion and we'll give evidence. We're more than happy to talk about how things go. Again, there's a mutual trust. This is going to have to be worked on, but we are definitely trusting that you're going to be trying to do your best to make the changes that you need to make, and you're going to have to trust that we're here to help and support you. And if you engage with us, I think that there is established pretty quickly that we are very open to helping you achieve your goals. That's our main concern. Before we go any further, I want to just practice one mindful technique. There's going to be experiments during these seminars. We're going to be doing just to be able to have a look and see what it feels like, some of the ideas that we talk about and the type of experiments that were run through the research to come to the conclusions that we pass on to you. One of the first ones I want to do is this idea of pushing pause. Pushing pause, I like to think of just literally pushing a pause button, whether you're on a remote control or back in the day when you actually had to push the pause on the machine, or if you're just thinking a touchscreen, you push pause on a video. Push pause and everything stops. Your world, your reality stops as it is, and you're able just to start noticing. And we look at three things. Whenever we want to notice, we always want to notice, what am I thinking right now about the challenge or information before me? How does it make me feel? What am I feeling right now? And what am I doing right now? This pushing pause helps us practice right now, paying attention to this very specific moment. And once we push pause and we notice those three things, if you're acting in accordance with your goals and what you hope to achieve in the next few months, then you continue. If, however, you realize, you know what, I'm off track, I am not being effective at all. Right now, this is ineffective. An example of this is being on your phone in a lecture. If you notice, if you're able to push pause and think, what am I doing? I'm being distracted. I'm not paying attention. Why am I not paying attention? I'm feeling a little bit bored. This doesn't make sense to me, or I'm confused, or I'm not interested. So now what am I doing? I'm on my phone. Okay, well, is this the most effective use of my time right now? And then you get to make a choice. And this push pause gives us that space to be able to make a better choice. That's the role of this idea. We're going to be pushing pause throughout all of these seminars. I'm going to be sending emails asking you reminding you to push pause and just to check in with yourself. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? And what are you doing? If you're being effective, great. Continue being effective. That's ideal. If you're being ineffective, now you have a chance to take some responsibility. It's now completely in your control to get back on track. You have a choice. Agreed? Great. I also have to point out one more thing, is this idea of being mandated to be here. You are required to do the Fresh Start program, you're required to do the online course, and you're also required to do these seminars. Now, coming to these seminars, whether you come to the 6 p.m. one or you come to the 4 p.m. one, it's at the end of the day, so some people are feeling a little bit tired and they're feeling a lack of energy. We work hard to put together really helpful information during these seminars. We find that they're beneficial. You get to make up your mind afterwards. But if you show up, I know if I'm being told to do something, I don't particularly like it. Depending on the activity, some things I really don't like. Some things I get a little bit frustrated. I do them because I have to. I've been told I have to, and so I will. But I probably don't engage. I don't act effectively. If I pushed pause, I would probably notice myself feeling a little bit of resentment, a little bit of frustration, and just choosing to do something completely opposite of what I'm supposed to be there to do. So what I want to offer is, since you have been mandated to do this, a way around this is to have a metaphor of a switch. So if you turn your switch on, it's called the free will switch. We're not going to get too philosophical if you have free will or not. We're going to assume at the moment that we have free will to choose how we want to behave. So in the seminars, whenever you're doing any work, if you're feeling frustrated or you feel like you've been mandated to be there, that you have to do something, just remember that you always have this switch. Mentally, you can push pause and ask yourself, am I here of my own free will? And if you're not, remember that you can always switch it on. You'll have two choices, and it's going to go something like this. If you leave the switch off, then you're going to have the feelings of frustration and annoyance, and you're going to tune out, and you're not going to participate, you're not going to fully engage, and you will end up doing anything but paying attention to what you're there to see, or to hear, or to learn, or whatever it is in the particular activity. And you're going to have a frustrating, annoying experience. It's not going to be a great experience. However, if you turn the switch on, you say, I'm here of my own choice. I can pay attention. I can focus on this for the next 50 minutes. And I can look for information and listen. And look for information in the slides, in the presentation. And find if there's anything that's helpful to me. There may be one thing useful. If I find one or two things that would make this a useful part of my day, it would be practical and helpful for me to apply later on. And I could see benefit in it and relevance. So that's what I'll look for. So when we turn the switch on, so you have those two choices. One choice is a frustrating, annoying experience where you don't get anything done. The other experience is less stressful, and there's a possibility that you get to learn something new, or you find a new technique or a new strategy for a problem that you've been battling with for a while. Okay, again, the choice is yours. I just want to remind you, it's going to be a common theme that you always have one. Push pause. Hopefully you choose to decide to turn that switch on right now. So who are we? We have Dr. Maybe Bell. She is the director of the Fresh Start program. Director of the Student Success Center, sorry. And then there's me. I'm going to be the main advisor. And then you've probably emailed. Gabby is our program administrator. So she's going to be manning the F-Star email, so you probably already communicated with her a little bit. She helps me to book appointments too, and she manages a lot of the administration of the program. I'm going to be marking the online course. I'm going to be giving the seminars. Dr. Bell will also give some of the seminars. We'll be sharing that, and I will be going through, continuing to communicate with you and meeting with you one-on-one if you want to follow up with any of this information in more detail. We need to have a quick look at a big picture of the program. You signed one of these agreements. This is an example of an arts agreement. There's also the general agreement. This here just covers all of the rules and regulations that you did sign off on. If you have any questions about these, you can always ask us, but if you want to make sure that you're on track, then make sure you're doing all of these, and then if you complete these by the end of the winter semester, you're more than likely going to be transferring to a new faculty. Supporting is one of our main goals. We have several resources available to us that we can help you with directly. They fit under these categories. But then if we can't help you directly, then there are several, look, it's still going, look at all these, so many different services on campus that we can refer you to. This here is, most people, if I ask the question, if you had asked for more help last semester, would you have performed better? And it's typically an overwhelming yes. That if they had been able to find some extra support, they would have been able to do better. A reminder about the goals in the Fresh Start program. We have the Fresh Start program. Our main goal here is to get that minimum GPA. If it's less than 24 credits, it's at 2.7. If it's above, then you only need a 2.0. And this one here is to avoid, if you get the minimum, then you avoid RTW. However, you need admission to a faculty, and admission requires a competitive GPA. So that may not meet our GPA, that may not meet the minimum. So you just need to confirm that with your faculty. The Faculty of Arts students, they've already found out what their competitive GPA is, so they already know that. They don't need to ask. However, they may still need to find out the deadlines for application and any specific course requirements that they need to be taking. However, anyone going to a different faculty other than the Faculty of Arts will need to ask, if they're transferring to another faculty, will need to find out what is that competitive GPA. And that's going to be different than our admission. It's going to be higher. So as long as you achieve that competitive GPA, then you'd meet our requirement for the GPA, and then you'd also successfully gain your admission if you're competitive. These are the other things that you need to do as well. You still need to ask for help, finish the online course, Cognitive Strategy, and attend the seminars. Just a little bit of an overview of the online course. Cognitive Strategies is a course designed to teach students about being a better learner. It will challenge your beliefs about how you learn, and it's going to give you a new vocabulary to help describe the areas of our learning. A lot of the times when students talk about studying, there's a very limited vocabulary, so we want to increase that so we can be much more specific in how we speak about learning and our studying. A lot of the times, as an example, if I ask students how they study, what they're going to do for their exams, they're just saying, well, I'm going to study about 3-4 hours. And I say, what does studying mean? And then it gets difficult to go much deeper than review notes, reread notes, rewrite notes. And we want to go further as research into academic success at any level shows that those are the most common strategies, and yet they're the most ineffective strategies. So what we need to do is we need to replace them with new strategies. So that we want to give you a whole different list of what they are and how to do them and when to use them. To keep up with the online course, I highly recommend that you just schedule in your calendar Monday, Wednesday, Friday for an hour a day to be able to chip away at this program. All you have to do is log into eClass right here, and then you're going to go straight to, I highly recommend just printing off the Fresh Start activity schedule, which is this PDF down the bottom here, and print it off and just pin it somewhere that you can't actually avoid it, so you can always see it. One of our assignments too for the calendar assignment is actually plugging all of these dates into a calendar, so put them online. You should be able to just quickly link that. There's also a calendar in eClass too in the online course that you could always follow. I believe you can sync it up to your own computer too to save you a bit of time, but you'll be able to, these are all organized and by due date, so just go to the title and then go find it in the online course and then do it. Do the readings, take the quiz. Remember, you always get 3 attempts to achieve the 80% score. We set a high score as this is a program based on the idea of mastery. Your grade is in your hands. You are in complete control of your grade. We don't curve. There is no curving whatsoever. You get to earn the grade that you want. If you want to get a 90% score, then you keep taking the test until you get a 90% score. Just as a reminder, you only need to achieve an 80% score to pass the quiz and get full marks, and then that accumulates over the full semester, and if you achieve 80 at the end of the semester total, then you will have passed the program. But you have the multiple attempts to be able to pass. As a reminder, we do have the ability to withdraw as a Fresh Start student. That's not taken away from you. However, there are some restrictions. You do have to meet with us. So you're allowed to add and drop anything up until the 18th, but after the 18th, after the add drop deadline, the withdrawal deadlines, you have to ask our permission. And that there's just a short conversation. Just make an appointment. We'll sit down for 10-15 minutes. We'll ask a few questions and we'll just clarify, and then you will decide if you still want to withdraw or keep up with it. One of the goals of the Fresh Start program is to help students become a more successful learner. This is my first chance that I ask you to push pause. Remember, just go right into the middle, push pause, and notice what you're thinking about me telling you that you are going to be a more successful learner, or that you need to be a more successful learner. How does that make you feel? And also, what are you doing right now? Are you still paying attention? Are you just letting the video run? Are you taking notes? Are you being effective as possible right now, in this moment? If not, this is now the time to get back on track. What can you do to be more effective in this moment? Also, think about the question. How do you feel about me telling you need to be a more successful learner? Great. Now that you got that in mind, we know that everyone can improve. You are not going to be the same person that you are right now 5 years from now. Even at the end of the semester, you may end up being a completely different learner. You may be, when you're 30, you're going to be completely different than you are right now. Would you consider yourself the same person that you are when you were 15? Do you feel the same things? Do you make the same choices? Do you watch the same TV shows? Do you listen to the same music? Have your taste and interests grown? Have you learned new skills? Have you matured? You make different choices. We are completely different people. Are you a different student? There'll be some things that may still be the same. Maybe personality. Our traits are going to start solidifying right now, around this age, the emerging adult stage in development. But you are constantly growing. Some people may actually be not growing. They may be stagnant. They might not be improving too much. So we follow this model of success. We know that if you follow this model of success, it's pretty hard to argue that you would not improve. If you identify some goals and challenges, you make a plan to meet those goals and challenges. You learn, if there's any challenges, you learn new skills and new knowledge to start applying to a plan. So you have to start doing that plan. Then every once in a while, we'll have a look at that plan. We'll evaluate it. Is it working? Is it not working? If it is, keep doing it. If something's not, then we stop doing it, right? We adapt. So we make some adaptations, and then we apply the plan again. We've got a new plan. We start working that plan day in, day out, day in, day out. Then we evaluate it. We have to gain some new knowledge and skills. Then we make the adaptation, and then we keep repeating the cycle as much as we need until the end of the semester. And then we will hopefully, if we follow this and we continue to adapt and change, make good choices and stay effective, then will lead to academic success. It's pretty hard to argue that this wouldn't work. However, it's an easy model. Sorry, it's a very simple model. It's just not easy to do. How the Fresh Start program fits in, the online course and the seminars is, the online course, we look at the learning check number 1, and the assignment looks at making that plan and identifying those goals. Over the course of the full semester, you'll be constantly having, and through individual appointments, you'll be gaining new knowledge, new vocabulary about learning, and you'll also be gaining new skills, or improving upon already existing skills. Daily life, this is your day in, day out, of doing and working the plan that you decide on. And we have to remind you that this is all defined by you. We don't tell you what you should be studying. We don't tell you which program is going to be the best program for you. we help you to find out how best to study for you. We have some expectations. A lot of research into, as you as a student, a lot of research recommends different types of personal characteristics and personalities and characteristics that will that correlate to academic success. So number one is being able to be present in the moment. This is concentration and your ability to pay attention. I've heard this time being called the age of attention. We're going from the information age to an age of attention. I'm not sure if that's fully caught on yet. This idea that because we have mobile technology, we are under constant bombardment with things to look at and things to engage us and steal our attention. The next one is called opening up. This is about openness is typically the personality trait that they refer to. But it doesn't mean sharing your feelings or being emotionally open up. This refers to curiosity, interest, and a joy of learning. Lifelong learners, or most of us would probably consider ourselves lifelong learners. It's a little difficult when we're being told what to study and having to deal with a few requirements. Sometimes it doesn't feel as fun as it could be. But this one here is about staying curious, staying interested, and just having an open mind to new perspectives and new ideas. This is ideal at university. The following one is considered conscientiousness, a work ethic. But a work ethic that is about doing what matters to you, what's most important to you. Everyone's going to be a little bit different at this. Different interests, different topics, different tasks, different skills that you're going to be interested in learning. So it's really about what is important to you and consistently doing that thing. If we're able to establish habits in this area, then we end up being able to develop excellence over time. When these all interact together, we get this ability. If we're able to live in the present moment and stay curious and open up to new ideas and new possibilities, we're able to let go of boredom, frustration, and annoyance. These are the ones related to, let alone the ones that's academically speaking. Those are some of the common feelings that we have when trying to learn complicated material. We're able to let go of the difficult feelings. You're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted, and you're not going to want to do things. But if we open up, if we stay curious and we stay in that moment, we can make a good choice to do what matters. We're able to commit to the things that are important to us. If I'm feeling exhausted but I need to stay on track for my term paper that is 10-15 pages long, and it's worth 40% of my grade, I can't take another day off. I keep pushing and pushing it. I can say, no, this paper is really important to me. I'm really committed to getting a good grade in this and improving my writing skills. I really want to get this ready so I can get some feedback. I'm going to sit down and commit to writing at least one paragraph, or doing the bibliography, or finding an example, putting in my citations, just chipping away at the small little tasks that over time build up to your end goal. This here is going to help you feel much more productive. And finally, being able to engage. If you're able to stay in the moment that you're in, and stay on task, doing what is important to you, that's full engagement, and that's going to end up feeling much less stressful than procrastinating. Again, I'm not saying that these are easy whatsoever. These are the ideals that we can work towards. We want to keep these in mind. A lot of research has been done into who is successful at university and who is not. We already know that you come with your own skills. You already know, and maybe an expert. An expert. You may have your own expertise already, and you may have, if you don't have expertise, you'll have some specialized knowledge and skills. So we want to build on those. We're not going to say that you don't know anything and that you're not a successful learner, right? We're saying that anyone can improve. We're always improving, because these are skills. They're learnable skills, and we need to put in effort to learn those skills. What we know about successful learners at the university level is that they use more effective strategies. They're much more efficient strategies for learning. They're able to self-motivate, and they're able to monitor and change their behaviors. So we want to learn these 4 categories. This is where we're going to be focusing in the online course and these seminars, is what are the most effective strategies I could be doing, what are the more efficient strategies, how can I self-motivate, and how can I monitor and change behaviors. This is what we want to look at. However, the dreaded P word comes to mind. Push pause to see if you can guess what it is. Okay, I'm going to change the page. Here we go. Unfortunately, practice is essential. We cannot learn this information from a book or a seminar. We must do the work. We must do this until it becomes automatic. We want to this is the idea of building a habit. If you can turn these news every time we want to change a behavior, for example, I gave before, rereading and rewriting notes are the 2 most common behaviors that we would love for students to eliminate from their strategies for studying and preparing for exams, as they are the most ineffective. They are and inefficient. They take a long time, and there is virtually 0 learning from it. What we want to do, though, is we need to change the behavior. We need to change the behavior, we need to replace it with something else. And so that's what the online course is going to do. It's going to give you a whole bunch of different strategies that you can learn what they are, what are the benefits, how they work, and when to use them. And that's why we ask for that 80% score too. That's a lot to ask for a strategy. We know, bottom line, that this stuff works. Everything in there is workable and effective. If you start using it and practice it and get good at it, it's going to make you a faster learner. And now, one of our main mottos here is that we want to study smarter, not harder. A lot of students, when asked how they're going to improve for Fresh Start, everyone, I would say 99.9% say, I just need to study harder. I didn't study enough, I need to study harder. I want to eliminate that vocabulary and switch it up with what we want to study smarter. We're going to be looking at what are the best strategies available right now. So then, what would be the key to being successful in this year? Before we can do that, we need to have some context. Understanding that this academic year, this is a typical student life cycle. A lot of people find it hard to disagree. In September, you're feeling highly motivated, highly energized, everything's excited, it's new beginnings, I can do this. But as October and November come through and we get into finals, we find that our energy is decreasing. A great example of this is to quickly look around over the next couple of days, look how everyone's dressed and how everyone's looking. Everyone's hair looks perfect, everyone's clothes look great. And then, even you guys have already had a couple of years' experience, if not 1 year of experience, how does everyone look in December? Everyone looks a little bit ragged, a little bit more tired, well, probably much more tired. They're not keeping up with their clothes, they're wearing the same clothes, they're wearing looser clothes, they're feeling more comfortable clothes. We're definitely not taking care of ourselves as much, and that's one of the consequences of lower energy and lower motivation. We're just grinding it out right here. Here we're full of energy. Down here we're losing a lot. We find that there's a little peak after the break, and that's because we feel like we could always do a little bit better. It's not necessarily because we had a break, but we find that there is a boost in energy coming into the new semester, new beginnings again. But again, we'll find that it tapers off quite slowly. Probably doesn't go all the way to 0, but on my graph here. But the trend is down. And this doesn't account, we just want to highlight that there's a trend of downward energy and motivation as the year goes on, with a peak in January. This may look a bit more like, if there are highs and lows, if you get a good grade, your energy could spike and you could maintain it for a while. If you get a bad grade, this could drop right down. So again, the trend is typically down in energy and motivation. However, there's a few things that could happen that could spike it or to drop it. One of the common ones that we hear is a breakup. If you're in a relationship and you have to break up with someone, or someone breaks up with you, then this can plummet. It can go straight through the floor of this thing, and then it can be hard to maintain and to get back on track. So the next part is, this is your trending of energy levels. Then I just want to have an idea of time. How many weeks in a term? 14. How many days? That gives you 98 days. On average a person sleeps, a typical human being, around an adult level, 18 to 25. Your range is 7 to 8 hours, so you're going to lose a third of those days. That takes you from 98, let's just say we're looking at 100 days, we'll go down to 66. That leaves you 66 days of decreasing energy to study your 3 or 4 courses, which are complicated and a lot of extra work. So you have also to do all of the learning outside of class. All of the learning is directed by you, the learner. A lot of it is, there's not much class time anymore, and you have to motivate yourself to keep going through all of this material. Even when you're confused, you can still ask questions, but the challenge is on you to do the work. So, the context says you must manage your lives to learn a lot of complicated material quickly. So that's the scene. That's where we're sitting. That's what it looks like. You have the time pressures and the emotional pressures of decreasing energy and motivation to learn a lot of complicated information. So what we want to do is we want to identify those specific behaviors that influence academic success. What are those strategies? And we want to use a process to choose the effective strategies for our academics and learning. So we need a process. We need to be able to do something. So my argument is the choices that you make to continue to choose those specific behaviors that influence academic success, those effective strategies to manage motivation and to manage your learning. Those choices, pushing pause, giving yourself a little bit of space. How are you feeling? What are you thinking? And what are you doing right now? Are you being effective? Are you moving towards your goals, or are you moving away from your goals? Take a few minutes, make a choice. The more we choose to do the effective strategies, I'll come back up here. The more we choose to take the effective strategy route, the more we push pause, we practice and get in the habit of pushing pause. Push pause and then make the decision. Oh man, look, I'm feeling really frustrated and I've noticed that I'm not paying attention whatsoever, and I'm not even doing my seminar. I keep procrastinating, I keep putting it off. Okay. That's being ineffective. That's not what I need to be doing right now in this moment. So I push pause. I've got a choice. I can keep doing this, or I can pick one of the effective strategies that I've been learning and do that. This hopefully sinks back to Theodore Roosevelt saying we want to dare greatly. Taking bold action, taking some sort of action, and not consistently procrastinating, wasting time, putting things off. So this practice of pushing pause, giving yourself a chance to make a decision that's right for you. Are you doing what matters to you? Okay? Let's have a look at that in this activity. Aristotle also gives us an example too. He's on board. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, setting those goals, sincere effort, that daily work, and intelligent execution, making sure that we evaluate and adapt our plans. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. You have a lot of choices. Pushing pause and choosing the effective ones. Choice and not chance determines your destiny. Let's have a look. This is called a choice point. It comes from acceptance and commitment training. Which has it's a new type of training. It's a new type of therapy and counseling that is used in a lot of different circumstances, and definitely in behavior modification. And so this here is cornered off into 4 parts. We need to look first down here. We're going to start with hooks in the maze. We say hooks as in we get hooked or addicted to or attracted to, or our attention is taken away from us. Advertising and music talks about what's your hook, and it's the thing that grabs your attention. Rap songs will have a hook. Advertising will have a jingle or a slogan that hooks you in. Funny commercials, it may be something comedic. But what do we get hooked on? So whenever we face problems, changes that we want to make, or obstacles in our way, there are a lot of things that can hook us. Typically, there's some sort of obstacle or difficulty in the way, self-judgments of how we can do it. Have you ever talked to yourself and said, I can't do this, I'm an idiot, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough? We have a lot of dialogue that talks about doing this. Some of our dialogue may be positive, saying, oh, I don't need to do this, I got this, I understand this. It could be overconfidence that could take it away. Perfection fits in here as well. This isn't good enough, I got to keep going, I got to be good enough. But we might still be ineffective when we're trying to be perfect. When we compare ourselves to others and why we can't do it. Well, I can't do it because the people that are being successful right now, they're so much better than me. They're getting higher grades, they're so much smarter than me, I can't do it. This here could hook us too. Predicting failure. Even from the beginning, it's like, oh man, I really wanted to make this change. I know that I don't manage my time. I really want to stick to a schedule. I know I've tried it in the past. Memories of past failures are very common, that you're going to say, you know what, I can't. What's the point? I've tried it in the past. It's not going to work now. And so we can often get hooked. Our mind will give us, I like to think of it as a reason-giving machine. Our mind will give us a million reasons why we can't do this, why we can't solve this problem, deal with this obstacle, or make a change. We're going to be looking at this in a little bit more detail on the other ones, but we want to look and identify what is hooking you and stealing your attention that leads you to being off track. Off track means being ineffective. Let's have a look at what our helpers are. And we're going to have to learn these. In seminar number 2, they're going to talk about your values. What is important to me? They're going to be talking about, we're going to get someone in from the career services, and they're going to be talking about values as related to finding a career, a direction in career exploration. Mindfulness skills, we've already practiced. Being able to pay attention in a special way. But we've already practiced one skill of pushing pause. We looked at the free will switch, push pause, being here of your own free will, but also pushing pause and identifying, am I on track? How am I feeling? What am I doing? And what am I thinking right now? Am I on track or am I off track? When we look at off track with talking about being ineffective and not acting in accordance with your goals and values and not standing for what is important to you. Some people will say that excuse me, they'll say that they have a high work ethic, that their standard for class attendance is 100%, I don't miss a class. If they find themselves skipping, then immediately they know that, you know what, I'm off track. This isn't what I want to stand for as a student. This is not what I want to stand for as a friend. These work for co-workers. These work for all different roles. This isn't how I want to act as a brother or a sister or as a partner in a relationship. These stand for our entire lives, every role that we play. Thinking academically, are you being the student that you want to be? And this here, pushing pause and giving yourself a choice, allows you to identify things. And like I said, whenever we're saying that we're off track, whenever we're using, over here we could put rereading and rewriting. If we're sitting down to studying, if you're just rereading your notes or rewriting your notes, that means you're off track. So if you push pause and you realize that, you're able to push pause and take a couple of seconds, you can say, you know what, I'm off track. I'll use my mindfulness skills, or I say, you know, what's important to me? Well, I really want to improve my studying, so I'm not going to do those poor strategies. I'm going to figure out effective strategies. I'm going to go back to online course and start using some of the ones that have been recommended to me. I'm going to start giving them a try. I'm going to practice them, make them turn them into a skill. Maybe I won't be successful right away. I'll get some feedback from Tristan. I can go meet with him and get some feedback to see if I'm on the right track or deal with any sort of confusions that you're having. You're just acting in accordance with the values that you set out at the beginning of the semester. This is a way to remind you of your goals. Our goals can be so far away. Passing the Fresh Start program doesn't happen until the end of April. That's very far away to be able to remember that that's what's important to me. And we definitely don't want to get to the point of April and come into my office with the look of total regret. This is incredibly common. And it's a great thing to remind ourselves. Every time we push pause, if you can get into the habit of just thinking, you know what, I don't want to regret this. This is a great way to do it. Back in the day, you'd have the samurais and the Greeks, very, very common that they would meditate not on regret, they would meditate upon death. I'm going to die. How can I live my life right now? I will die soon. How do I want to be remembered? These types of meditations. And they would do that daily. That was common practice, to be able to live in accordance with what is important to them in that moment. I don't have to expect you to do that. You don't have to do any of these things that I'm asking. I'm just saying that if you give them a go, I want you to experiment and give them a go and see if it works for you. We know that they do work. They've worked in the past. They've worked for ourselves. Research tells us through different experiments and different studies that it works for other people too. We're looking at applying this to the university setting. This is something that you can give it a go. How to be effective. Push pause, make a choice. And if you're on track, keep doing it. And also, let me give you an example. Some of these off-track activities, they actually may be off-track in a particular moment, but this is moment by moment. For example, if you're doing that term paper, let's say you're doing that term paper and your friends ask you to go out for wings on a Wednesday night, and your term paper is due in a week, and you still haven't really committed time to it, you've been procrastinating. This is a perfect opportunity for you to push pause and saying, you know what, this is a tough decision, but I really got to get working on this paper. If you end up at Hudson's, you're going to lead down to the road of guilt and regret. You're going to go and do it, and then you're going to feel more stress. It's going to feel good in the moment, but that there's being ineffective. Pushing pause and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do that, or even leaving. Just saying, you know what, this isn't, I'm taking the moment right now. I'm off track. I need to get back on track. I'm going to leave right now. Thanks for this. This was great. Good times. I'm going to go back and get on track. However, if we look at that in a different way, to say, you know what, I've finished my term paper, I finished it ahead of time, I stuck to my plan, I acted in accordance with what my goals were, and I have been taking effective action day in and day out, you know what, if I can meet my friend for wings. I can go do that. I can go and have a beer and go meet my friend for wings, or whatever the activity may be. You can go and socialize however it is that you socialize. That's not being off track. That is on track. That could be a good choice in that moment. Are you being effective or ineffective? And in that moment, you're acting like the friend that you want to be. So there's no real wrong choices or wrong strategies. It's just in that moment, is it the most effective thing for you to be doing? That's according to your values and goals. Are you living the life that you've decided to live? Or are you living something else? So self-management is essential. This internal locus of control for our choices and factors is completely related to academic success. We know that you will end up finding a way to do the work. You'll find a way to learn. We're trying to shortcut that by giving you the most effective strategies for motivation and for learning, and for managing yourself and managing your choices. We have to remember that if we are looking at actions and feelings, a lot of the time when it comes to self-motivation is that, and confidence in making these changes and making a lot of changes all at once, is that action comes much, much earlier than feelings. If you're just waiting around to feel motivated, to feel competent, or competent, or it even works for the other examples on here, love and if you want to feel happy, do happy things. Do the things that make you happy, and then the feelings will come. If you want to feel confident, this is the hard part, because before confidence, we feel fear or anxiety. We'll feel stressed. So we have to take action first. Make choices to be effective, and the feelings will come. And this will help to reinforce that behavior, and it becomes easier and easier to take effective action. The actions of success will come before the feelings of success. I love this quote from Eli Cohen. I slipped this in here. Without continuous personal development, you are now all that you will ever become. And hell starts when the person you are meets the person you could have been. This is, for me, a great definition of regret. Why are some of us more successful than others? These are some of the issues that we want to address. People have different understandings of what it means to learn to be motivated and to have ability or talent in an activity. They are completely unaware that they are using ineffective strategies. Was anyone aware Were you guys aware that rereading the notes and rereading and rewriting notes and highlighting are 3 of the most common strategies? You might have known that. Did you know that through almost 5 decades worth of research says that they are the worst strategies to use? But we still use them, right? Your beliefs about these, and even me saying that, if we quickly do a push pause right now and do some mindfulness practice, push pause, do you believe me? What do you think about that? What are you feeling right now? What are you going to do about it? Right? We have to constantly think about this. Sorry, I think you just got a flash in my head there. I apologize. Come back to the slides. Being unaware, there's a lot of things that we don't know yet. That's why you're at university. You're going to be learning a lot of stuff. You don't know everything that's in your class, right? And we also don't know that we don't know. Okay? One of the hardest ones when we look at that student life cycle is to sustain that learning strategies and the motivational strategies. Practice is hard. And also, we're not ready to change. Some of you are going to continue taking ineffective strategies for your choices, maybe because you get hooked and you can't unhook, you can't remember to push pause and to come back and give yourself a choice to transfer to an effective strategy. And that's going to happen. That happens to me still on the things that I'm trying to work on and improve. It's going to keep happening, but remembering, if we always remember to be able to push pause and have a choice. Am I on track? Am I off track? What can I do to get on track? Okay. Another summary of that I really like from Zimmerman. Zimmerman wrote the book on self-regulation and taking action as a student, managing the choices that you make. A summary of his, or a conclusion that he came to for being successful at university is successful learners will view academic learning as something they do for themselves rather than as something that is done for them or to them. This here puts the learning in your hands. It's totally up to you. So the very first assignment we ask you to do is think of some of the changes you want to make. Start identifying the things that you want to change. We're not going to make you change. These are, we know they work. It's up to you to make the change. We're not going to persuade you or convince you. We're going to encourage you and support you in the changes you want to make. But it's still up to you. I'm throwing this out there as a dare. If you prove me wrong, do these things. Commit to learning the effective strategies and show me that they don't work. I'm already convinced that they do. One way that we can, that I think Zimmerman is pointing to, especially when it comes to motivation, is bottom line, really, do it for yourself. If you're having trouble being motivated for any reason to do any academic task or to do any task that needs to be done, and you're being told that you have to do it for yourself. Just remember that you're in a pretty lucky position. This is a great opportunity to be at the University of Alberta, to be studying at a university at all. There's a lot of luck involved. It's pretty lucky. There's not many people that get into here. Not many people get this opportunity. Not many people have a chance to do what you're going through. So not doing it for a parent, not doing it for anybody else, doing it for yourself. Pushing pause and recalling this idea. A lot of people find this one helpful. So there's lots of different ways that you can manage your academic behavior, and this here is what we're going to be discussing throughout these seminars and through the online course. You can manage your motivations. You are in control. Every time you push pause, you have a choice. Methods of learning, how you learn, the use of your time, the physical environment, the social environment, and your ability to monitor your performance. These are all things that you have control over, that you can manage, and we will talk about it. We know that success is not a straight line. We know it's going to be really messy. It's going to be hard. There's going to be pain and frustration and stress and overwhelm. We know that. We've already seen the student life cycle. That downward trend, your energy levels are going to be decreasing. So how can we deal with that? We know it's coming. So pushing pause and practicing that mindful techniques of being able to just say, hey, look, I have a choice. I can be effective or ineffective despite how I'm feeling. Those feelings are the reason-giving machine that is your mind. Is going to give you a whole bunch of reasons of what not to do, why you don't have to do it. I'm too comfortable here, or I can't do it, or there's no need to do it. I don't need to do that. It's going to give you a whole bunch of reasons. Trying to stick with those and pushing pause and choosing effective action anyway, despite difficult feelings, is something we're going to talk about. That's really challenging to do, and we're going to give you a lot of strategies to help you do that so you can stick to the changes you wish to make. We know that you have a lot of different definitions for success, and so we will meet those. We will meet you where you are at. It's going to be a long trip, it's going to be a messy trip, it's going to be tough, it's going to be grueling, but we're here to help. Taking all this away, identifying the changes you want to make, making good choices by managing yourself, and taking that action. Committed action towards your goals. Push pause, make a good choice, choose to be as effective as you can in that moment. The more you push pause and make a good choice, the easier it becomes. And as a byproduct, you're going to feel less stress, you're going to feel more productive, you're going to feel more confident, you're going to feel like you're learning more, and the results will come. The results will come if we focus on doing the right thing in the right moment. Thank you very much. Remember to dare greatly as you go through. It's always a choice. You can, if you want, you can stay in bed and watch TV in classes. You can go out during the weekends. You can blow your budget in the first couple of first semester, both semesters. You can take a job if you want to and work 30 hours. You can do all the ineffective things if you want to. Or you can dare greatly, take bold action, take the road less traveled. It's you that has to do this. I'm here to help. We're definitely here to help. We're really excited that you chose to come along with us. Let us come along with you, really. We're looking forward to seeing where you end up. Thanks again. Please remember to answer the questions below this video.